Hi, my name is Joshua Bolden, and I'm going to explain to you the 5 stages of second language acquisition for ELs in your classroom. Now, the first stage is known as the pre-production stage, or what some people might refer to as the silent stage. Because ELs speak very little to no English, they are very easy to identify. And this is because they are either new to the country or new to an English-speaking classroom altogether. Now, the silent stage can last from several weeks to several months, and this depends on the comfortability of the EL student in your classroom. To make sure that the EL student is comfortable, make sure that you provide them with a comfortable learning environment by providing them with lessons and activities that make learning a new language fun and exciting. This is also a stage where L2 learners will begin to learn new vocabulary and start to pronunciate new words. We will see a bunch of nonverbal gestures such as head nodding or them pointing to what they want instead of verbally acknowledging it. Strategies that you may want to include in your lessons is to use pictures when talking and using vocabulary words. Use pictures to label vocabulary words and things in the classroom. Everyday items they may use. Things such as chairs or the desk or the pencil. Label them with the picture and then with the words so they can match them both together. It's also a good idea to start off with basic vocabulary words and start them off small. Make sure you don't overwhelm the student. When you overwhelm them, it affects their capacity and their retaining ability. So make sure that you start them off small, very small. It is also a good idea to start getting the EL students to follow directions. Give them little simple directions to follow and tell them how to respond to it. Also, when interacting with them and asking them questions, make sure you ask them questions that involve a yes or no answer. This gives the EL student an easier way to respond to your question without giving them so much pressure. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to use the modeling method here. Pairing up a student with a partner that shares their language would make the learning process not only fun, but more easier on their part. And also, repetition, repetition, repetition. Repetition creates a muscle memory that makes sure that the learner retains whatever they're learning. So remember, whenever you're teaching, repetition. Get them to do it over and over and over again until it's embedded in their heads. This is important, especially for a student that's learning English for the first time. Now, stage two is the early production stage. In this stage, EL students are starting to gain a small understanding of the English language that they are starting to learn, but they still only have a basic understanding of it. Characteristics you may see in this stage is limited comprehension of words and phrases. EL students at this point may begin to try to put sentences together, but they may still contain grammatic errors. EL students in this stage are generally more comfortable using present tense verbs. Here in this stage, students should also be able to follow basic directions, such as when to line up, how to raise their hand in order to speak, and when to stand up and sit down in the classroom. Students in the early production stage should start to gain an understanding of the English language, and they should start to begin to put small keywords and phrases together in the beginner level. Other tips for working with students in the early production stage is highlight important vocabulary words and place more emphasis in the listening and speaking aspects. This is vital as it helps the EL students put into practice what they are learning in the classroom. Here, you also want to continue to put students in groups and allow them to use their speaking skills in an environment that's comfortable for them, and also an environment that will allow them to be more comfortable when speaking in front of a group. Let your students know that they are going to make mistakes and it's okay. Mistakes are part of the learning process, and we can't get through it without mistakes. Now, stage three is known as the speech emergence stage. In this stage, the student may have to put a bit more effort into the classroom as they are starting to become a bit more fluent and starting to become more comfortable speaking English. The riches in this stage include improved comprehension. Students in this stage should be able to initiate conversation and ask and answer simple questions instead of saying yes or no all the time. Now, students in this stage are still comfortable using present tense verbs, and although they are more comfortable speaking the English language, they still tend to make grammatical errors. So it's okay. Now, some teaching strategies in this stage include asking questions using how and why. This allows the student to give simple answers, but allows them to draw away from the yes or no. Also, have students do paired reading activities and have them create stories of their own using contents from other stories or using things through their own experiences. Some teaching strategies may include asking questions that include the words how and why. This gives the student a chance to answer the question briefly and provide you with a simple answer. Incorporate more closing activities that include vocabulary words that they've learned throughout the week or throughout the day. And this will give them a more challenging task that will end up benefiting them in their second language acquisition. This stage may last from a year up to 3 years, according to the learner, and to this point they should have learned several thousand words. This is an exciting phase for EL learners as they begin to communicate and begin to use English words more fluently, and as they begin to start the more advanced chapter of learning the English language. These students are able to participate in classroom discussions. Even though they still make small grammatical and pronunciation errors, they are eligible for class discussions and to communicate with their peers in an academic setting in the classroom. Students in this stage are more focused on reading and writing, as this is their last step into becoming fluent in the English language. Some teaching strategies to include here are to present more advanced activities that require more advanced written or oral language skills to further produce and develop fluency in these students. Work on high-level language skills such as problem solving and have them write sentences of their own. Here, make this fun. Use silly sentences and incorporate silly stories into your activities. Here, you don't want to be too hard on grading as they're just not starting to form sentences and begin their writing. Don't be too hard. Give them some pointers and let them work on it the next time. Ask questions that require more than a one-word answer. This allows the student to practice sentence proficiency and also proficiency in the language. And also add graphic organizers to give the ESL students a visual representation of what they're learning. Make sure to provide the same graphic organizer every day so they provide a graphic memory of what they're learning, and also so they can provide these organizers to what they're learning in literacy and content areas. This stage is critical in allowing conversations to flow in the classroom between your students. This allows them to connect their second language. And also, students in this stage might start to think in their second language as they reflect on their succession and reflect on their accomplishments they have made in learning the English language. Stage 5 is the advanced fluency stage. This is the final stage of second language acquisition, and this is the stage where your student becomes fully fluent in the English language, and they're also comfortable in performing simple and advanced conversation. Here, the student should have gone through all the basic steps in becoming fully fluent. This stage is a feel-good stage for both the student and the teacher, as the student has become fully fluent in English. This means that they have set their goal and they have met their goal and have accomplished everything they have come for when it comes to learning the English language. So characteristics in this stage is that the student should be able to speak almost fully fluently in English and start to become more comparable to their peers in the academic setting. The student should be able to use various sentence structures with little to no grammar mistakes. If they make a grammatical mistake, then it shouldn't interfere with the point that they're trying to come across with. The student should have expanded vocabulary and use different words when it comes to academic setting. Students should be able to speak academically and socially and use their vocabulary words in everyday situations when it comes to speaking the English language. Now, some learning strategies for this stage are giving more oral reports. Oral reports allow the student to become comfortable in speaking in front of a crowd. Have them speak in front of a small group of students, and then when they get comfortable doing that, have them speak in front of a large group. Doing this will allow them to become comfortable in speaking the language in front of crowds at a more easy pace. Give them more opportunities to speak English to challenge them and allow them to become more fluent on an everyday basis. This allows them to easily use words without them having to think too hard. Give them a chance to self-reflect and see what they were able to accomplish, not in just their content area, but in their language as well. Make sure they see the progress they made and have them reflect on it and have them see what they need to improve on as far as becoming more fluent in their language. Even when the student is dismissed from your program, it is important to continue to follow up with them and to make sure they don't have any gaps in their language development to help them grow and further development their second language English skills. Those are the 5 stages of second language acquisition. I hope that my video was very helpful, and I hope I've provided you with some skills that you can use in your classroom to help you and your ESL students further develop in the education world. If you're an EL teacher or plan to be an EL teacher, I hope you take these steps and incorporate them into your classroom teachings. These steps will allow you and your student to be successful and learn the English language. Thank you for your time.